I'm going to talk about my research about millennials' perceptions toward references of perempuan in Great Dictionary of Indonesian Language or KBBI. So the research initiated based on the happening issue on February 2021. A group of women activists and Komnas Perempuan raised a concern against definitions of perempuan. They deem that the definitions is sexist and not relevant to the modern depictions of women. I see the conditions is not only the critics that comes from women activists, but it shows how societies in Indonesia already raised their awareness against the stereotypical connotations of women connotative. But what I'm interested to is that I want to understand what exactly millennials' perspective. Do they agree with the references and definitions or not? Based on that, in order to understand these perceptions, I tried to take the scope of language attitude research to be discussed within that with already being applied in the previous issue or the previous research conducted by some researchers that I conclude here. From all the research above, I conclude that it shares the similar methodology, while all of them consider the changing in society, the perception changing is related with language attitude research, where most likely it's being conducted directly due to the direct observations and by direct questioners. So the questions will be, first, how millennials' perceptions toward references of perempuan in KBBI, and second, does their perceptions is maintained or shifted? This the method. The methodology applied in the research is quantitative method with descriptive approach. While that it involved 116 respondents, 34 of them are males and 82 of them are females. Their age group is differ from 16 until 30 were considered as the age of millennial. All the research data being tabulated and those informations being put in the graphic, and also all of the data being analyzed and justified. So now come to the discussions. I have two major discussions in this research. First, talking about highlighted support to maintain conservative image of women, and second, talking about rise of neutral perspective to gender-based lexical references. Go to my first discussions. Talking about this highlighted support to maintain the conservative issue, I comes with the idea of the definitions of perempuan. Those negative and also connotative definitions figure accessed by online KBBI in kbbi.web.id. I conclude and I ask it to become does the respondent agree or not with that references according to the gender, male, female, and neutral. By that research, I conclude that 6 causes references associated with women shows the attitude and behavior of millennial through conservative image of women value as sex visualizations and social construct as women's role in the family or domestic relations. More than 80 of 160 respondents agree that terms of jalang or bitch and pelacur or prostitute belongs only to women. That they also agree with the physical stereotype and characteristic of women like lemah lembut is only differ and associate with women. More, and the questions that whether or not they agree with the definitions of perempuan or not, around 40 respondent or 34.5 respondent agree with that definitions. They argue and justify the reasons why they agree, because they see that the default of women is, for example, like giving birth and such the fact like giving birth and also feeding the babies is only biological conditions that very unique belong to women only, and it's not belong to men or others. So in conclusions, in these discussions, millennials have the tendency to maintain conservative image of women, where they still match the language choices of subordinating female terms against women, despite having an unpopularity for challenging the definitions. Now, let's talking about the second discussions about rise of neutral perspective to gender-based lexical. So based on the lexical references here, I divide the diagrams into 3 colors. We may see that dark blue means that male, the purple means female, and also light blue or sky blue means both or neutral perspective. In this question talking about the lexical references, I see the rising neutral perspective of gender equality in the terms of, first, the terms of professional work. Like for example, professional in career is not only refers to men but or women, but most likely refers to both of them. Also, the terms like boss or leader is not only refers to men but also refers to women and both of them. And also the other one, the terms of hard worker is also depend and associated with both of them. Talking about the domestic level here, the Lexis show a shifting attitude. For example, 40% of respondent a millennial choice, they choose that the terms like mengurus anak or raising child is not only associated with women responsibility but also the responsibility of men. That's why they are here in the blue colors, or means that neutral perspective. This changing is a very important. Why? Because I concede that this changing understand first that millennials in Indonesia have popular opinion which they favor gender equality in the perspective that is translated as combination of actual and intended behavior. Moreover, by the changing of this perspective, we understand that in my conclusions, what I discuss or from the perspective that millennials' perceptions toward gender references is divided into two big spectrums. First, the conservative image maintained, and second, that women general neutral perspective is rising among the millennials. The justification why there are two spectrum of millennial, first, because millennial is rise belong the society that still believe in the patriarchal culture or patriarchal value, while the others millennial also gain the exposure toward the gender equality and feminist movement that most likely living in that era of millennial. That's all for me, and these all my references. Thank you so much for your time and your understanding.